Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com nightly wrap-up show. If everybody is doing well, guys, take a second out, support the channel. If you like what we are doing, all I ask is take a moment out, click a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Just one quick announcement. For the next 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks, the nightly videos are going to be sporadic, and the only reason why is yesterday there wasn't a video. All you guys in the webinar kind of know my son's been kind of fighting nagging injuries for the last year and a half, whether it was a pulled strained calf or hamstring, this, that, and the third, and he finally got healthy. So he's playing his not only his AAU season towards the end, but he is playing his high school preseason summer tournament they have. So it's going to be for the next 2 weeks. So the games are like 2 or 3 times a week. Luckily, there's no video on Thursday. That's his next game. So the video is going to be sporadically. So I apologize. Only for the next couple of weeks until his preseason off-season tournament is on. Anyway, guys, let's talk about the tape. So here's what's going on for the last couple of days. Obviously, the big story has been Israel, Iran, right? Bombing each other all over the place. This has been pretty much going on for the last 24 hours. The United States, as all you guys know by now, neutralized, or at least we think, neutralized some of the nuclear, or all the nuclear facilities in Iran. We'll see if that's actually all of them. Then Iran the next day talked about, well, we're going to retaliate. We're not just going to just sit here and, let you guys walk all over us. But here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker. We're going to give you guys 6-7 hours to kind of get out of the way. And ultimately what they did was they basically bombed the bench. I'm obviously exaggerating, but they bombed the bench in one of the United States bases. Obviously, there was some sort of agreement. We need to save space. We need to show our citizens that, we're not going to just roll over, yada, yada, yada. Yesterday, you see that is some sort of truce, right? At least some sort of pause in the bloodshed and the gunshed and people dying between Israel and Iran. But first, we're going to let off one more round. We're going to set off 3,000 missiles at you guys. And obviously, if you saw the video last night, Trump wasn't really too happy with both Israel and Iran about that last minute, I'm going to kill you, sucker, right? I'm going to get you, sucker, type of scenario. Market didn't like that for a second. And then the market realized, well, wait a minute. We've been brushing off bad news for the last, several weeks. Well, now we actually have some good news. And when you look at the scoreboard today, Dow jumped 500 points. Oil came down. Basically, investors and traders, kind of at least hoping, right? Hoping that this ceasefire is going to be prolonged and not one of those scenarios that, hey, next day we're right back into blowing each other up. So fingers crossed, again, like we've been saying for the last, X amount of videos, nobody needs a world where there is blood being spilled on a day-to-day basis. Again, we're human beings. We are the worst things in the universe because we just can't get along because we have differences, whether it's skin color, religion, whatever it is. We suck, right? We suck. But this is the world we live in. This is the world we kind of, we help and grow our kids. So again, just be, you don't have to be the greatest person in the world. Just respect your neighbor and everything will be okay. So if you look at the final tally, NASDAQ up 1.5%. The market obviously loved the idea of a ceasefire. Again, we don't know how big or long the ceasefire will last, but on the surface, the market did like it, right? Whether it continues into tomorrow, we will see. But folks, after all this, right? After all this, keep this in mind. The February highs are roughly 541, right? The February highs of 541 for 2025. Guys, we're roughly about a point and change away. That's how strong the market is. That's how aggressive all bad news has been pretty much pushed to the side or swept under the rug. And now we have the ability in the next couple of days to test 52-week highs. So instead of me sitting here and telling you how great the market is and using all these hyperboles and all that good stuff, let's talk about some charts, right? If you chart, and again, I don't care if you're trading for 30 years or you're trading for 30 minutes, you should be charting every single day. Even if you don't know what you're looking at, even if you don't know what any of this stuff means, it is a healthy mental exercise to go through charts. And then eventually you're going to start to realize there's a lot of similarities in every single chart. But very, very important just to kind of do that, get your mind right, get your head in the game of that you actually have an opinion going into the next day, not just, yo, bro, the stock is hot. Yeah, that kind of works like once every 100 times. And the rest, you got to, figure out how to be a professional trader. So the more charts you find, the more charts you look at, 500, 1,000 charts a day, eventually it will click. It doesn't make a difference what type of process you trade or what kind of trader you will be. Get your mind ready. It's like going to the gym, right? You're pumping iron, you're pumping weights and blah, 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 cardio and beating on your chest. Do the same thing with your brain. Muscle memory, right? Muscle memory is the key to everything. See, there are so many similarities for a stock to get going, for a stock to get rejected. It's nothing to do about the PS60 theory. It's just more of correlation of organic structure of the market. So the more you chart every single night, the higher probability you'll get that wake-up call and you realize the common denominators for making stocks start, stop, and get rejected. So let's talk about some charts, right? Let's talk about some charts. All right, let's talk about, there's a lot of good looking charts out there, right? Let's talk about some names. I'm going to give you guys a whole bunch of names we're watching tomorrow. Obviously, I can't trade everything, but we are watching a lot of names because there's really a lot of names to watch. So let's start off in the semiconductor space. On semiconductor, right? So on semiconductor had this violent rally. Remember we talked about the last couple of videos, volume expansion, what happens after volume expansion, right? So here's your volume expansion, and it has been going crazy. Same thing happened on BKSY. You guys remember we talked about BKSY on the weekend video, right? Look what happened. Volume expansion leads to bigger prices. DraftKings, volume expansion, right? Volume expansion leads to higher prices. So on semiconductor had this big volume expansion, had this big run, and now is going sideways. It has literally one supply zone left on the daily chart. Might not get that today, might not get that tomorrow, but it's a name that you need to be watching, especially in a space that is very, very strong. I'll give you guys some other examples in a second of names that could be beneficial. So this thing has been kind of going sideways now for the last 2.5 weeks. A close of reclaiming above this daily channel would set this thing off. NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA. Again, you can pretty much correlate to the pivots we had today. You can just see the group is really, really good. So NVIDIA, right, 146.20 got rejected twice, needs to confirm. We've been talking about NVIDIA now for a while. So NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA had a nice expansion channel today, got above the 46.20, pretty much closed at the high of the day. Again, we are continuing to see 148s that pretty much are printing today, 148s, 149s, and 150s for the next couple of weeks. So very, very strong move on NVIDIA. It looks like the 150 handle should be seen as sooner than later. A name like Avago, right? We saw some buyers come in on Avago today. Pretty good call buying coming. A buyer came in for August 300 calls. Very, very close, folks. Very, very close to busting out of this daily chart. Uber, right? Uber had a monster move today, right? Monster move all day, folks. All day they're coming for the 718 $100 calls and the 815 $100 calls. We saw some 105 calls as well. Apparently, they are, more or less going into their robo-taxi space. They launched the Waymo in Atlanta. The market did like the stock. At one point, there was no dip in the stock literally the whole day. It was very, very much stairways to heaven. The first dip came literally into the close. So keep an eye on this thing for a potential resumption tomorrow. Again, expansion candle, right? Look at the guys. Look how many example of expansion candles happens the next day. Here's an expansion candle. Next day follows through. Here's an expansion candle. The next day, again, to be determined. Look at a name like Intel. Boring name, right? Stock hasn't done anything literally since the internet craze. But now we're starting to see some August $28 calls coming in. Ironically, Intel did have a big run going back to February, right? When it reclaimed back the 50-day moving average, it did go from 22 all the way up to 28. You see how long this distribution channel is, folks, right? Any close above this whole distribution channel that's going back to May the 13th could release this thing. This thing looks pretty good. Again, it's slow, it's boring. It's going to sit there in a 30-cent range the whole day. If you're not, look, if you are not mentally ready to potentially swing this thing for a few days, don't even look at it, right? Again, like I said, you can trade anything as long as there's volume, as long as there's a range. But this is one of those stocks you really, really have to be patient for. But watch the range here. PLTR, nice looking move today. Nice looking move. Got above the 3-day channel. I know some of you guys are long above the 42 and a quarter. That was our pivot today. Stock pretty much closed at the highs. Let's see if it could test the June highs from last week. Again, this is a continuation pattern, nothing great, but the volume is starting to pick up. The options market is starting to pick up as well. You definitely want to pay attention there as well. Tesla, right? Let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla finally broke out yesterday. Massive, massive breakout. Inside day today on half the volume. You can see here, yesterday, the stock traded 190 million shares. A little bit more than half the volume today, and it rested. Yesterday it was up like 30 points. Today it was down 8. Okay, it's resting. I think it needs one more day of digestion. One more day. I think there's a shot tomorrow it retests back to its breakout level. Remember, we've been talking about the breakout level, the reclaiming back to the 20-day moving average for a number of weeks. It broke out yesterday. We had some pretty good moves on Tesla yesterday, but I think if we can get a back test, right? If we can get a retest of its breakout level from yesterday, I want to be a buyer into weakness. We still seen short-term 360 weeklies, some 370 weeklies come in into weakness today. So I want to definitely test the long if it retests yesterday's breakout level. A lot of names usually do that before resuming back higher, but Tesla definitely a name to watch in the next couple of days. Let me give you guys a couple of more. Circle, right? Everybody on social media is shorting Circle for the last month and a half, getting absolutely destroyed. I've been saying this for years and years and years. Stop guessing the top. All you need to do is short. If there's going to be a back test, a backside move in the stock, all it needs to do is confirm the previous day's lows, right? Confirm the previous day's lows. That's it, guys. Here it is, right here, right? Where the hell is it? Right? Circle, right? Circle. Backside potential trade for experienced traders only, obviously, right? 232.48. If it builds below, can flush. Now, why was 232.48 important? That was the previous day's low, guys. And again, if you believe the stocks go from supply to supply and demand to demand, well, again, it's traded right to the 217 level today, which is rising the 5-day. Here's the key, right? A pretty big buyer came in for the weekly weekly $200 puts today with $600,000 worth of premium. Guys, I'm even going to give you the price, right? You see today's low? Today's low is 217. 217 is the 5-day. This thing loses 217 tomorrow. Guys, look how much room it has. It has potential room all the way down to like 178. So watch this thing. Again, is this for everybody? It's not for me. Okay. I'm a technical scaredy cat, right? Stocks that move in $7 candles with 100 share lots so the dollar spreads. Not for your boy, right? I'd rather trade Tesla blindfold than this. But for all you crackheads, And I say that respectfully, of course. And all you guys are junkies in the webinar. You guys love it. You guys had to trade this thing. Love this thing, right? Anyway, congratulations. You caught a nice $15 move on this thing. But moral of the story is this thing starts losing 215, gives back the 5-day moving average. There is more downside ahead. So again, we all know this is a copycat league, right? Watch CRWV as well. You know, if Circle can crack, maybe potentially CRWV can crack. As you can see, it closed right on the 5-day moving average, the same as Circle did. If it loses the 5-day, is there a shot it goes back down to 159, the lowest from 2 days ago? Very possible. I'm going to give you one more, right? That's my point. There's a lot of names, guys. There's a lot of names. There's something for everybody. HIMS got smashed. HIMS, hey, HIMS, hers, they, them, us, whatever your pronoun is. It got smashed. It lost the deal with Nordovac, whatever the hell it was called yesterday. Got really, really hit. It was down massive yesterday. Inside day today, basically only up $1, which is nothing. Expanding volume to the downside yesterday, a third of the volume today. This thing starts taking down yesterday's lows. There is more downside ahead. So that's it, guys. That's all I got. There's a lot of value in the markets right now. There's something there for everybody. All you need to do is get your ass, sit down, look at charts, and identify the names that you feel comfortable with trading. Not somebody else, but you. Guys, have a blessed night. Have a great night. Oh, God's help. I'll see you on the field tomorrow. Take care.